This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
We are back for Caravan of Garbage because we are talking 2020 apocalypse movies. Movies set in 2020 that weren't made in 2020 that are apocalypse movies.
Exactly, but
what?
A fun apocalypse.
Yeah.
Not the apocalypse we're currently living through. Like a fun one.
One that, sure, you could cancel, hypothetically. But you might have a bit of a biffo leading up, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But then a decision will be made to cancel the apocalypse. Now, I just want to say straight up, I have an apology to make because in a previous one of these videos, I think it was the Rain of Fire video.
You didn't leave a like?
Oh, I should rectify that.
As everybody is required to do?
I should leave a like on this one as well.
You and everyone else.
But also, in that video, I think I was mentioning ridiculous names in apocalypse movies, and I referred to someone in this movie as Striker Pentecost.
Yes.
An obviously ridiculous name, but I need to apologize because that's not his name. I misremembered it. His name is, in fact, the completely normal Stacker Pentecost.
You idiot.
I'm such an idiot, right?
How are you on the name Raleigh Beckett?
I hate it.
Me too.
They're all bad.
I mean, it's a real name, apparently.
Yeah,
but it sounds like a made-up Australian name. Raleigh! Raleigh! The dog's at it again. The dog's at it again. What's it doing? Probably rooting something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, probably barking at something in a tree. Can we talk? We should probably maybe talk about this off the back.
Sure.
Maybe the Australians in this movie.
Yeah. There are Australians in this movie?
Evidently there are. Yeah, there are two Australian characters in this movie.
Yes.
The actors there are a Brit and an American.
Yep.
And they have what I would consider to be the worst Australian accents ever committed to film.
Wow.
But I have a theory about it.
What's that?
So I would say you and I have like fairly typical Australian accents.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's people out there who are like, no. I've heard Australians speak. I've met Australians and you all sound like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, that's right.
Guess what, people out there? We tricked you. Because that's what we do. When Australians go overseas, the Australian accent, it gets bigger and broader and dumber.
Yeah.
Right? We turn on the Australian charm to either get you into bed or into one of our fabulous zoos. Crikey.
That's
and
right.
what I think that what's happened to these characters is that they have gone overseas to Hong Kong and they're like, here we go. Going to go to the nightclubs, going to put on a bit of true blue Aussie charm and I'm going to reel in the ladies. And one of them goes out to the nightclub and he's like, g'day, darling. What's a top Sheila like you doing in a place like this? And she's like, you know, there's a 1,000-foot tall monster outside and he's headbutting the city to pieces. And so he's had to just keep upping the ante until he's like, Struth, stone the crows, Margaret. Anyway, it's bad.
Yeah,
They
it's
sound
not
like
great.
chimney sweeps. But that's not what this movie is about.
No, it's really not what this movie is about because it's an international cast and crew doing a variety of accents, isn't it?
That's right.
I didn't love this when I first saw it. I was kind of a bit underwhelmed by it because I was really looking forward to it considering who was involved and the ideas behind it.
Guillermo del Toro.
That's right.
Did you find it was an interesting choice for him to make?
Yeah, well, he's, having watched a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, he grew up with manga and anime and all these and these giant kind of kaiju movies and things like that.
Amazing as was a very popular Japanese animation, which was also popular in Mexico, which is where he's from. So.
Right, so there you go.
Yeah.
So revisiting it, I definitely liked it more. But I think a big part of this is the lead for me has an accent, an unplaceable American accent, which I find distracting. I think Charlie Hunnam is great. Recently, The Gentleman, of course, Sons of Anarchy, a show that I haven't really seen. But he is good, but I think it falls down a bit in the lead department, this movie. Unlike the sequel, which I do want to talk about, which I think has a stronger lead, mostly also because he keeps his original accent.
I see, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
I love the world, though.
Yeah,
Like, I love what they've crafted.
But I mean, what would make him a more compelling lead? What is
stick fighting. He had even more brothers that died.
Excellent, great. Yep, more
Raleigh and Yancey. That's their names.
Nice.
We should also point out that section of the film is set in 2020 and the rest of the film is set in 2025.
So we're only going to discuss the initial action sequence with Raleigh and Yancey. And that's it.
But speaking of like design and things like that, I love like the weight of the Jaegers. You know, they take like a second to kind of respond because you got to kind of drag like the fist into battle. The second one, they just kind of spinning madly, the second movie.
Yeah, right,
But I enjoy the personality that they kind of worked into the designs from the different cultures and they all do different things and things like that.
Well, look, I agree with you that they all look great and they all do different things. But I think if I was some sort of Jaeger technician in the future fighting a war against these bizarre aliens, I'd probably focus less on like cool anime aesthetics and more on maybe like a plasma gun that takes less than a full minute to charge.
Sure.
Because that's the only thing that works.
Yeah, it seems
is
to.
a big laser gun or some missiles.
Or a sword that you have.
Or a big sword that you have. So focus on those. Focus less on like big arms that can be easily torn off, or legs, or exposed heads. Just a big sphere. Just a big sphere that shoots plasma.
I think if you got like a giant redwood and sharpened it and just catapulted it through one of their heads, I think that would do it. Yep. Well, they've got multiple brains.
So a trebuchet is what you're suggesting.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, if you get big enough Ewoks, you could probably sort this situation.
Well, that's what they didn't a philosopher say that once? If you get a big enough Ewok, you can move the world. You know. And look, again, I enjoy.
You're not supposed to think about that.
No,
though. That's not the point.
Look,
it's not like, well, why didn't they do this?
You're not supposed
because of the fighting.
You're not supposed to think about it, but we will just briefly, and then we'll get back to the fighting. Ultimately, what they probably should have done is just. Because they know when the kaiju are coming out of the earth.
Yeah.
Like they can time it to the minute, it seems.
Yes.
So just put a big bomb down there, and when the kaiju come out, blow it up, and then put another one there. And wait, you know?
Put a grate over the top, just made of swords. So they just slide out through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a slap chop.
Yeah, like a slap chop. I think how it should have ended, I think, did that exact thing in their video.
Yes.
Like, I try not to rewatch a bunch of stuff and reviews before these because I'll just start retreading points that other people make.
right,
But again, like, speaking of the design, for the monsters, the kaiju, I like the personality of them. There's like a big crocodile one, there's a crab one, there's one that turns into like a bat with
There's
wings.
a knife head.
Oh yeah, there's a knife head. They're running out of names, aren't they?
Nope.
They are.
All right.
But I also love the idea that the way they
That's what happens in like the war room. They're like, we've got a new one out there. We're going to designate him knife head. And everybody's like, come on, Barry.
Jeez. We've got 40 minutes till it gets here. Can we?
All right, knife head. All right.
But they're also technically designed that you could fit a man inside them, like the monster movies of old, which were just people in suits.
Sure. I feel like every modern day monster movie should have a moment in it where you've got the good guy robot running through the city and the monster charging at him as well, and the lightning is and the rain is coming down. I think it should just cut to two dudes in rubber suits in a cardboard city and just a flickering strobe light, just for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then cuts back, and then we pretend nobody's noticed it.
I would thoroughly enjoy that.
But you're right, and I believe during the press tour they did actually get people in like rubber knife head suits.
Oh,
to
cool.
pose
Okay.
at the like kind of silly, like super deformed models to
That's awesome.
yeah.
Because the way also, the mechanics of the world, they go out of their way to make it physically make sense. There's a lot of like gears and cogs that you see shifting inside the robots. Obviously they're 3D models, but they're designed in a way that the arm won't clip through its shoulder when it moves. Like it has to move mechanically the right way.
So what you're saying is we could 3D print these and make them ourselves.
That's right.
Nice.
And get them to fight a big Ewok.
I'll see you in the backyard. I built that cardboard city.
I'll get my brother Raleigh. He can help us. What do you think? Yeah. You don't like him?
Oh, you know.
He's a drug. But it's not just the creature designs that they go into. The idea that they built these giant sets that they were the piloting sets. Mm-hmm. First of all, and I didn't notice this until afterwards when I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, they're really exposed in there. It's not like a tight little cabin like an X-Wing where you're snug in there. You're in this big kind of janky room, which is rattling about and you're getting water, like tons of water poured over you. You're strapped into this giant mechanism and it could just bust through. And suddenly you're in this like giant rocking exposed room, which was apparently like 4 stories high and could drop 15 feet in an instant. And that's how they filmed all of those sequences.
Did they build it out of one of those rides at Dreamworld?
That's right, yeah.
Where they zip you up to the top and then drop you off.
Not the one that flipped and killed a bunch of people. But even in things like, you know, the flashback where Marco's in the street and it's shaking. Like it was designed to when the creature's foot would hit the ground, the whole set would shake.
Oh, so
things
that's
like
practical.
That. Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a lot of money in this movie, I think, is spent to great effect, including the voice of GLaDOS.
Ellen McLean.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Make Portal 3, you fucks. Anyway, look, I also love the idea that they've got giant mechanical robots and you need minimal 2 people to pilot them, sometimes 3.
Yep.
Because it's a left brain, right brain situation. If one person does it, it'll melt you down.
It's a non-traditional number of mecha pilots.
Sure.
Normally 1 or 5.
Right,
But it's not unheard of.
Yeah, that's true. It does happen. But also I feel like you can just use the PlayStation control. Like I feel like that would be enough You could wire one of those in, and
Yeah.
you program in the Arkham Combat. You just go for it.
Sure,
You
sure.
just hit dodge. They'd never hit you.
That's right, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
But I love the idea that they still have to physically be in it, really
It
make
would be
the effort to move.
Very good for cardio.
Yeah. You know what I do like character-wise in this movie? I like the little scientist team that having a little fun adventure.
So,
I
so
think that's the
Charlie
mo-
Day from
Yeah,
Always
that's
Sunny,
right.
and
Exactly.
the other guy.
And the other guy who we
He
know
looks
from
like
things.
Crispin Glover, but I don't think it is him.
Yeah, he's in things, isn't he? Vern Gorman, the other guy. But yeah, I like their little adventures. I think that's the most compelling plot in the movie. And they're trying to, well, one of them's trying to drift with a kaiju to kind of figure out what's going on. And then they interact with Ron Perlman and all of that. And I think that stuff is very interesting.
I have a note here that says one of Ron Perlman's shoes is bigger than Charlie Day's whole body. And I'm right there with you, Charlie Day.
How big is Ron Perlman really?
He's a big man.
But is he though?
No, I don't think he
Because I've
really is.
also
I
heard
think
he's
it's all
not
camera
that
angles.
big.
Yeah.
But he's big. But how big is he?
He's Hollywood big.
Yeah.
He's bigger than everyone else in Hollywood, and they are not that big, except for The Rock.
And Liam Neeson.
Yep.
Well, apparently the idea behind Hollywood is, and our friend Hollywood Pete told us this, to be a movie star, you need a tiny little skinny body and a giant head. He calls it the Clooney effect.
Plays well on a big screen.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because you can put lifts in your shoes, can't put lifts in your head.
No, you certainly can't.
Have we talked about the plot of this movie at all?
Stop. They come through a portal,
Oh, yeah?
and you got to stop them with the big punching them up.
Oh, then we did. We covered it.
I don't know if we said that specifically. But what this does have in common with another 2020 apocalypse movie we looked at, Reign of Fire, it's touching on the environment in interesting ways. Pollution, ozone. We're practically terraforming the planet for them.
Oh, don't get political.
Exactly. But for me, though, this movie really peaks in that middle battle. And the finale that's set underwater.
It does.
It
drag a
doesn't
little
quite
bit.
match it, does
Yeah,
it?
you're right.
That idea that they're fighting that creature which turns out to have wings, and the reveal of the big floppy sword which becomes a big stiff sword. Is it a metaphor? Probably for dicks. But what I'm talking about is
Yes.
that whole sequence with the battleship, like
Gypsy Danger picks up a battleship, and
wielding
beats
it
that
like a
monster over the
katana.
head.
How does
Yeah.
it stay together? It doesn't matter. It's not important.
That was good stuff.
Like kind of
There's
the-
a little moment where the mecha's hand goes through an entire
Yeah.
building and tips an executive toy. That was a funny moment. I enjoyed.
Well, that's practical.
Oh.
As they built like a miniature to do that.
Oh, Del
not
Toro.
not the monster, the fist part.
Ah, yes.
Is what I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about. Yeah. But that whole sequence is just it's phenomenal. That's what makes this movie for me. And just the neon city in the background and the rain that's coming off all the creatures and the robots. It's really something else. And it has wings. You don't think it's got wings? It's got
Then
wings.
it's got
though.
wings, yeah.
Yeah. The finale, yeah, it's just like, it's a bit Independence Day resurgence. I don't know, just a bit kind of, we got to get into their lair, which might have happened in that movie. I don't know. Independence Day resurgence. I can't remember. But it's a bit it's a bit drawn out. It's a bit overly dramatic in a way that's not that compelling for me. I don't know. How do you feel? There's loss and sacrifice, but you're like, oh no, strike a Pentecost, you
Well, see,
idiot.
that's the thing.
You idiot. It's Stacker. I tricked you.
Exactly. I think there wasn't enough sacrifice in the previous two acts of the film, and they're like, well, we got to put in some sacrifice.
The Russians got bloody bit it.
Don't count.
The Chinese bit it.
Also don't count.
One of the Australians bit it.
Definitely doesn't count.
Australians. I bet he's from London and he lived here for a month. I bet not even. He did a Kentucky tour.
Yeah,
in the
that's
outback.
exactly right.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's right. Got a Southern Cross tattoo.
Yeah, that's
no,
right.
thank you.
Ron Perlman comes back to no effect, of course, which I guess I do enjoy. He comes out of the big fish monster or whatever. You can't fault it as a movie for having big monsters fighting big robots.
That's
If
absolutely
that's
right.
what you want going into this, then yeah, that's what you're getting. But I'd love to get specific rim, if you don't mind,
Here we go.
about the universe. We're not doing trivia this week.
Are we doing specific rim?
A specific rim.
Thank God, because we've gone months without doing a round of specific rim. So I'm glad we're bringing it in finally.
Because I want to talk about the specifics of the universe that they've built around
James, damn
this.
it, we didn't do specific rim for Reign of Fire
Oh,
or Edge of
no.
Tomorrow. Yeah,
we
yeah,
can always
yeah.
redo the video.
I guess we can, yeah.
We get enough requests. So I'd like to talk about the sequel, which I feel, again, has the stronger lead in John Boyega.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I don't think it's a better movie, but I do really enjoy that sequel as also a natural progression of the first one, because it does have the little scientist subplot. Charlie Day's gone mad from drifting with the kaiju.
Yeah.
And I think that whole story element's really interesting of how the Jaegers have the kaiju brains in them, and it's a whole new invasion plan. And at the end, they're like, "We're going to take the fight to you." No, you're not. But you know,
Independence Day resurgence.
that's exactly it. The weight of the Jaegers is gone in that movie, and I feel like you could put that down to, well, maybe they're faster because it's been X number of years.
Yeah, right.
Till the next one. But I do think that movie is better than people give it credit for. It's also Stephen Esther Knight, who's worked, of course, on Daredevil.
That's right. Yeah.
I think it's underrated as a sequel. It's amazing to me they made it because the first one made money internationally, which is how they got the opportunity to kind of flesh it out a bit. But yeah, the second one didn't land as well as the first one did.
I'll be honest, James. I just had to wait until you finished saying all that to let you know that I don't remember the second one at all.
Okay.
Like not a single
I did
second
rewatch
of
it for this.
I see.
And
That
it's
makes more
a
sense.
brisk, fun time, I feel.
Okay then.
Yeah. Okay, so there was also, forgetting Pacific Rim, there's also an animated series announced in 2014 that would have taken place before the events of the first film, acting as a bridge between film number 1 and film number 2.
Pacific Rim, we're just winning all the time, was what it was called. We're really good at fighting kaiju.
Yes, that's right. It would focus on established background characters that would have appeared in the sequel. That project ended up dead, but there's also been a number of comics. There's Uprising, Aftermath, Tales from the Drift.
After MASH.
After MASH, that's right. Have you ever seen that show?
No.
I just can't. And then, of course, what is happening at the moment, there's a Pacific Rim Netflix series, an anime, which is the most expensive anime that Netflix have ever done. And it will follow a brother and sister twin team piloting an abandoned Jaeger across hostile territory in search of their parents.
Okay, well, guys, you have one more chance to put in my rubber suit idea. And then you're dead to me.
Yeah, that's right. Just live action in the middle of an anime?
Yes.
I love it, yeah.
Maybe just filmed in an alley, like a back alley somewhere.
Yeah.
They run into some garbage cans.
Why do you think, though, this never quite took off, like, commercially or even critically on the whole? Because it's not terribly received, but it was never like, this is like the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's got all the elements,
It
right?
does have all the elements, but yeah, I see. You've mentioned in this there are a lot of
Specific?
yeah, very specific rims.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned that there's a lot of practical effects in this, and a lot of real sets, and a lot of real mechanisms and stuff like that. But to me, it never really felt that real.
Okay.
It looks good.
Yeah.
But it never felt. I don't feel it ever had that impact for me.
Unlike, say, like a Blade Runner 2049, is that?
Yeah,
what you mean?
maybe.
Something like
Yeah,
that?
I feel like it didn't. To me, it never really had like a real.
A big rocket fist, because it did have that.
It did have that, but it didn't feel like a real rocket fist really hitting me in my alien nuts. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
It didn't feel. I wanted to feel like what's the word I'm looking for?
Tangible.
Yeah, I wanted to feel visceral.
Sure,
and, like
okay.
real and solid, and it never felt that solid to me.
You want people in suits.
Yes. No, there's got to be a happy medium.
Sure, yeah. One person in a suit fighting a robot, a real robot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just a man in one of those puffy suits that they used to train attack dogs, and he's being attacked by a bunch of those Boston Dynamic robots.
With
that can open
machetes
doors
taped
now.
to their heads.
Yeah.
Great.
You could probably do that for less than $150 million too.
Definitely. I'm sure the question that everybody wants answered is, what happened to Riley Beckett, though? He didn't appear in the sequel.
That's true.
I have your answers, though.
Oh, is this in the spin-off or the comics or something?
No, this is from Stephen Esther Knight, the director. This is what was going to happen with the character and where we might see Riley Beckett in the future. Nowhere, but regardless. There was a version that we shot where what happened to him was explained and talked about. This is in the sequel. We tested it and people had more questions with it in than without. So we decided that we didn't want to lock ourselves into anything like, oh, he's dead or he's retired, which seemed a little cheap. We wanted to leave it open for a third installment of the movie in case we needed Charlie Hunnam back. The only reason that Charlie Hunnam is not in the movie is because of scheduling problems. So he was off making a different movie. That's why he wasn't in the first place. So yeah, if they do make another one, I would love to see bring back some of the original crew and make it happen again. I don't think we will see it, but there you go. In summary, just shoot a big spike through one of their heads, though.
Just a big spike. I have some miscellaneous notes here, just a couple.
I love
this
it.
week.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
This one just says, "Hey, the pilots' helmets are all full of pea soup."
Yes.
Because that happens right at the start.
Is that just in the is there two pieces of glass that it's in between?
Seems that way, yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just covered in pea soup, aren't you?
You just probably drink the pea soup and you'd be sloshing about. You're fighting a kaiju and you're full of pea. You're like, oh, I'm sloshy. You know what I mean? You'd be distracted. You'd be off your game.
Sure.
Yet another movie that explains what an EMP is.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
What is it? Oh, it's gonna be like Ben's gonna put up like
It's going
a.
to put in really complicated one. Maybe a montage from every movie that's featured in it. But I don't know. You can do it. If anyone can do it.
If anyone could do it, yeah.
They could definitely do it. I don't like the name of the Australian Jaeger. Look, I watched it really late at night and I made these notes really late at night. I think that's what this means because I've written a note that just says, Striker Eureka, ! Crikey Murrumbina. And after that, I've written, is that anything? So who knows? If you've got a better name.
That's definitely something. Incredible. Look, here's the thing about next week for Caravan of Garbage. We're currently in the middle of a 2020 pandemic.
What?
Non-monster related as of so far.
But, time will tell.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
2020 isn't over yet. It might never end. It might clock over and it's like December 32nd. What the hell?
So the thing is, movies are going to be pushed back, it would seem. We're still unsure of the release dates of a number of blockbusters. So we're going to throw it open to people here in the comments to what people want us to talk about next. Here's some ideas that we had. The first 3 Transformers movies. Some Alan Moore adaptations, including V for Vendetta, set in 2020.
There we go.
People keep saying Demolition Man. What do you want to see?
What year's that set in? We could say it's set in 2020.
Doesn't matter.
We could do a whole video
where
we review Demolition Man and we just say it's set in 2020
That's right.
every couple of minutes and people get really mad at us.
And we
they
block
put it in the comments.
we block every person
Nice.
who comments against us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick a movie that you like and we'll say it's set in 2020 and we'll just review it like that.
We don't give a shit.
We don't care.
We don't care. But what we do care about is bigsandwich.co, where no matter what the video is next week that's coming, you get it early there. It's a little bloody subscription thing that we've set up. Bonus podcast, ad-free feed, early videos. It's got it all.
It's always 2020 in there.
Oh my God, why would you say that?
I'm just kidding.
I'm doing the big sell, Mason.
Oh, sorry, you're right. 2020 will definitely end if you subscribe to bigsandwich.co.
Correct. So we leave us in your very capable YouTube comment hands. Terrible idea, but that's what we're doing.
No, YouTube comments have never let us down, James.
They let me down constantly. Every third one is mean.
Oh, I don't read them. So I actually have no basis of fact on that.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week for whatever that is.
Grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you real soon.
Raleigh Beckett, fucking get out of here with that shit.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
I mean, if you want. It's up to you.